Now we should look at the most common first question, right? So tell me something about yourself. About at least 50% of the interviews, start with this question. A lot of times about 60 to 80% of the interviews start with this question, right? What's so special about this question? Now let's look at it from the interviewer's perspective, right? So why is the interviewing panel going to come up with a question like this, right? The purpose is simple. For the panel to understand you better. Why? Don't they have your file? Haven't they gone through that? It's very difficult when you're going to be interviewing 5 to 10 students a day, right? Or at times it's 20 students, 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, to know each and every person perfectly, right? So a lot of times they get to look into your file around that time, and they might have seen it, but they want to understand you better, so they ask you this. Another important reason is to put you at ease. They know that students generally are a little stressed, and they also know that this is a common interview question, right? I'm not saying that every interview is going to start with this, but the ones which do, they're also looking to put you at ease, right? To de-stress. They know you're a little prepared. They want you to present yourself in your way, right? So the next is to get some information about you for some follow-up questions. What next to ask you, right? So they'll probably pick on some of the points you're going to be stating over there. Now, how does it benefit you? In a huge way. It's set you can now set the tone for the interview. How do you do that? You emphasize on your strengths, right? When you're answering this question, you speak about your strengths. You can present your life story the way you wish, right? So therefore, you have to be well prepared for this particular question. You need to spend some time, think about the points you need to come up with, and present it, right? We look at a couple of examples in this video on how to present, or rather come up with a possible answer, right? So before that, how do you structure this is a question. Or rather, a lot of times people ask me as to how much time should I take to answer these questions. I would say about 40 to 80 seconds, nothing more than 80. Keep it short. The reason is simple. The attention span of a person is going to be quite limited. If it's going to be more than 80 seconds, it becomes a little boring, right? So it's no longer an interview where there are questions and answers. It's just one question and one long answer. They don't want that either, right? What is the order to be followed? Chronological, more or less, right? Start with your 10th, 12th. It's easy for them to relate to, right? There are not going to be some bullet points flowing the way it is right now. They need to remember it clearly, so it's easy if it's chronological. If you have a unique way of presenting in a non-chronological manner, go ahead, as long as you're confident that you'd be able to clearly explain to them, or rather they would be able to understand it very well, right? And do speak about your achievements along the way as well. The next is to how many achievements to speak about, how many points to put forward. I would say about 2 to 4. That's it. You might have 10 stories or 10 experiences or 15 experiences or instances you want to speak about. No. Communicating all of them for this particular question is going to make it really long, as well as they're not going to remember all of them. And if you're going to be answering all of these, coming up with all of these achievements in the first question itself, you're not going to have much to speak about later, right? So speak about 2 to 4 achievements. I would say about 3. Keep it at 3, the middle number over here. And we will look at 2 examples, as I said, where 3 achievements are going to be put forward. Now, what should you include over here, right? A few of them are going to be academics, right? So marks are going to be high. Do speak about them. Events or initiatives you come up with, your internships or work experience, those of you who are working, any awards you've received or extracurricular achievements. And if you don't have too many of the above, come up with a strong reason as to why you want to do MBA, and finish that. Tell me something about yourself with that part, right? So of the above, do not mention all of it, right? Pick the 3 which stand out, right? Set the tone for the interview in a positive manner. And a lot of times, the follow-on questions will be from the points you mention and the tell me something about yourself, right? So therefore, do practice this a lot. Now, what are the things to avoid over here, right? Do not write and memorize your answer. A lot of people tend to do that, right? Keep bullet points, have bullet points, and look to remember it and restate it the way you can. That comes out a little more naturally, right? If it's going to be memorized, you're going to be speaking monotonously, and they don't want that. Now, do not state all your achievements, right? We've discussed enough about this. Do not unnecessarily come up with negatives in your opening statement. You might have gaps, you might have low scores. There'll be other opportunities, right, for you to present these. Do not come up with this at the start itself. Now, a lot of people ask me, should I speak about my family? My father is so-and-so, mother is so-and-so. We are a nuclear family or a joint family. they're not going to be taking you into an MBA program because of your family, right? So I would suggest do not. But unless you feel otherwise and you want to, I mean, if you don't have too many points and you just want to bring it out, fine, do that. But I would still say avoid it. Now let's look at a couple of examples, right? We'll start with the strong candidate and then we'll move to a regular candidate. Now let's look at the strong candidate who has has been academically consistent, has actively participated in events, right? So there's some POR initiatives, and is an achiever at work, which is there in the bolds over here, right? The bolds over here, academically consistent, actively participated in the last part, those are the ones which should be your bullet points, right? The rest of it should just naturally come to you. So let me just read this out for you, right? If the interviewer is going to ask, tell me something about yourself, you say, sure, ma'am, sir. My name is XYZ. I have lived throughout in New Delhi. I've been academically consistent and I got 9.8 CGPA in 10th standard and 96% in 12th standard. I also went on to do my engineering from ABC College of Engineering, where I did mechanical engineering with a CGPA of 8.4. Now, other than studies, I have also actively participated in sports and represented my school in volleyball and cricket. I was also the hostel secretary at college. I started work as a software engineer at PQR Technologies in July 2021. And I worked for a global e-commerce client. I won the Best Performer Award for 2 quarters and I was recently promoted to Senior Software Engineer. Now, you need to present it your way, right? I didn't just read it verbatim. There were some pauses, there were some ers and ahs. That is how it should come out naturally, right? Do not look to write down and memorize. That is the biggest mistake which students do. Now, let's look at another example over here of the same question. Now, this time around for a regular candidate, I look to make it a little difficult, right? Wherein, let's say, average academics. So therefore, what do? You don't speak about your academic achievements because it's average. No work X, right? So there's nothing much on the work front to speak about. Whereas some initiative, right? So let's see. Tell me something about yourself. Sure, ma'am, sir. My name is XYZ. I am from Mumbai and I'm currently in the final year of my BCom program from ABC College. I opted for commerce because I'm really interested in pursuing a career in management. I have organized events and participated in culturals throughout school and college. I was a core committee member of ABC College Cultural Fest, which is a 3-day fest attended by over 10,000 students, where we were able to raise rupees 30 lakhs in sponsorship. I pursued an internship in digital marketing at PQR company. And I'm currently working on my final year project on the impact of the pandemic on businesses. Now, very often what happens over here is the last point is what interviewers remember, pandemic on businesses. Okay, that seems interesting. They might ask you a few more questions on that. Or wait, 30 lakhs, that was a number given to me. So let me ask a little more on how did you go about, which were the companies which sponsor. You have to be prepared in all these areas, right? Just coming up with this response alone isn't enough. The follow-up questions you have to be ready for as well, right? So these are just a couple of examples on how to come up with something which is crisp and present it in around 40 to 50 seconds, right? And that's about it, and people would remember it. Yeah. So what are your key takeaways over here? All right. First, keep it short. Do not make it too long. Practice, prepare, and keep it short. And again, come up with your strengths, right? You can drive the interview your way with this particular question in most of the interviews, right? And prep well on your chosen points and also on the follow-up questions that are likely to come up.